But the general coupling of the child and the parent and how that impacts the identity is so strong for so many kids, and they spend years and years trying to come out of that and make their own identity and make their own name. And I think everyone can to some degree associate with that. And many kids don't have the words to say, boy, my parent is X and that impacts me X. And you had the courage to do that, and you are in the shame place that can come along with my parents behind bars. So all that to say, I think that your story resonates so deeply with people because you brought something that could be in the darkness and you brought it into the light and then said, I'm okay talking about this because this isn't a reflection on me. I didn't make this choice. I couldn't make this choice. That was a choice someone else made. It impacts me and I want to help other people. And that's a remarkable thing for someone who's a junior in high school to do. Do you credit your grandmother with giving you the words and the courage and the bravery to say, boy, I'm my own person and I have the agency, which is the word you use, I have the agency to make different choices and help other people?
Yeah, well, I'll say first, Christy, you're absolutely right. The burden of shame is very real, and it's often very heavy. And with nearly all of our scholars, I'd say over 95% of them say after they've applied and we interview them, we're now about to bring on our 13th cohort. So we've been doing that since 2012. And the students, they all say, I've never talked about this. I've never shared publicly, beyond the family unit, that they have an incarcerated parent and how it has affected them. In terms of grandma, definitely gets some credit. Definitely gets some credit in terms of but to be honest, talking about my father being incarcerated is not something we really talked about at home very much. I talked about it more with my late mother, rest her soul. Um, but that's a whole nother story. I won't. We don't have time to unpack that. But in terms of, I think a lot of it was part of it was not only my grandmother and like her, she's always been a big advocate for education. Her schooling, she was the first in our immediate family to get her undergraduate degree as well as her graduate degree in teaching. And she her whole career over 30 plus, excuse me, 40 plus years has been in early childhood education. So she had instilled in me since a toddler, or really even before then, teaching me how to read and write and teaching me, the importance of education and all of that. So that was a piece of it. But it was also definitely my faith. Like, it's kind of hard to explain, but ever since even when I was young, as a young girl, as a teenager, I always had this strong sense of faith and hope and like belief that even though my circumstances were, however you want to say, odds stacked against you, or the card that I was dealt in life, it wasn't a winning hand at all. Had it not been for my grandmother, I definitely would have been in foster care. No, there's no question about that. Or I would have been couch surfing with family. But I just was, I knew that there was something more for me. And I don't even know honestly what pushed me to be open about the situation with my father. I think I was just maybe tired of carrying that for so long. And then, like I said, the research piece, when I realized that there are, I mean, I probably would have thought there were hundreds or thousands, but to see that there are millions, and like how it's kind of even hard to perceive how massive that is, right? So it's like, whoa, there are so many other young people like myself going through this. And I just kind of fell into it. I just, after I pitched scholarships to this panel of judges, they were like, Yasmine, this is a great idea. You should really pursue this. And I'm kind of like, okay. And then I did it as my Girl Scout Gold Award project. And so I just started talking about it. And then what was starting to happen was people would come up to me and say, Yasmine, my daughter's father is in prison, or my cousins, or my best friend's mom was in prison. And so I began to realize it's a much more common uh life experience, and it's across cultures. It's across cultures, across a lot of different societal, however you want to say, groups. So yeah, it really, like, I see this work as, I ran away from it for many years, but it's really destiny. It's really a purpose thing for me. And so, and the last thing I'll say is, you're right, Christy. Like, I always tell our scholars that, your parent or parents, some have two that have been incarcerated or in and out, which is just mind blowing. And I'll say, having an incarcerated parent it's a part of our story, but it's not our full identity. So, they begin to accept that, embrace it, but realize that they still have their own their own journey to trek, their own stories to write. So
So powerful. It's so powerful.